Hi, it's Danielle. Welcome to my perfume journal. Happy New Year. I hope that 2026 is off to a really good start for you. So, most of you know that I keep a journal of all of my perfumey things. It is something I've done for a while, but last year I really amped up my journal as a way of spending less time doom scrolling online and more time engaged in creative endeavors that give me a sense of peace and happiness. And it was honestly the best thing I have done for myself in years. And so I will be continuing this daily habit into the new year. But in addition to my paper journal, I also keep some super nerdy spreadsheets of my collection and what I've worn because I love to crunch numbers. I love to look at patterns and trends. And from my spreadsheets, I have compiled some data about the perfumes I wore the most in 2025. Before I share the top 5 perfumes that I wore the most with you, here are a few other little tidbits that I discovered this year that I found kind of interesting. So, I wore a total of 195 different perfumes. 53 of them were samples, and 142 of them were from my main collection. And of the 53 samples I wore this year, 3 of them ended up on my actual wish list. The first sample that ended up on my wish list was Incarnata from Anatole Lebreton. This is a perfume that opens smelling exactly like a vintage Avon lipstick, but then it dries down to smell like big red cinnamon gum. I added Prada's Infusion de Riz to my wish list. This is a perfume I've sampled many, many times before, but I kept coming back to it in 2025. So I finally added it to my wish list. This is my favorite perfume to wear when I travel. I love to spray this on at a duty free in an airport because they almost always have a tester at the duty free. And it's just a soft and unassuming iris with just a touch of fresh green in it from some neroli. And I think it's about one of the most perfect iris perfumes I've ever smelled. And then I added Un Bois Vanille from Serge Lutens to my list. It is just a beautiful, very gentle vanilla sandalwood perfume with a teeny bit of licorice swirled into it. So, my most worn samples this year were in fifth place, a tie between 2 Dior Privé perfumes that I wore 5 times each. Rouge Trafalgar, which is a fruity floral in the Privé line that smells like musky berries and grapefruit. And then the unbelievably stunning 2015 formulation of Fêve Délicieuse. This is a smoky tonka vanilla rose that to me is one of the most perfect examples of simple elegance in perfumery that I think I have ever smelled. I was also very much into powdery perfumes this year. I wore Teint Neige from Lorenzo Villoresi 9 times. Teint Neige is a soapy, clean, lotiony, powdery floral. And then I wore Venice Rococo from Arquiste a total of 11 times. Venice Rococo is a grown up powdery floral. It's Rococo for a reason. There's just a little tiny bit of filth hiding in the corners of that one. It always reminds me of Madonna dressed as Marie Antoinette at the 1990 VMAs. So, my second most worn sample this year was Incarnata from Anatole Lebreton, that lipsticky floral scent that I absolutely love. I had a 5 ml decant of that perfume and I wore it 18 times. So, if anyone has ever wondered how long will a 5 ml decant last, well, for me, it was 18 wears, putting on about 3 or 4 sprays every time I wore it. And then finally, my most worn sample this year was Shalimar L'Initiale. I wore that 19 times. And this is the Shalimar flanker that I call the pretty pink Shalimar. It has a bit of sweetness to it, and it smells like a flouncy young version of the original Shalimar. So, one thing I noticed this year is that when it comes to very expensive perfumes, I tend to go for a small decant over a whole bottle because I will get to enjoy the perfume for quite a while, plenty long enough for me without breaking my budget. And it's just one of the best ways I've learned that I can treat myself to a luxury fragrance in both a size and a price point that feels right for me. Another interesting little trend I discovered this year was that there were only 5 days out of the entire year that I did not wear perfume. But there were a total of 42 nights that I did not wear perfume. And when I look at the dates, I can see that a lot of those nights were nights when we were on vacation, where I know I was just like too knackered to even bother putting on a perfume. I just like fell into bed after a long day of walking around and exploring and went right to sleep. So I don't know. I just find this kind of thing sort of fun and interesting to look at. It's one of the things that I have enjoyed the most about keeping a perfume journal, especially because so much of perfume for me is tied to experiences and memories. And I love to look back on what I wore and connect those perfumes to important moments in my life. In total, there were 11 perfumes that I wore more than 10 times each. So before we get to the top five, I'll just share the 6 honorable mentions with you. So, my first honorable mention perfume that I wore 11 times is Lovely from Sarah Jessica Parker. This was the year of Sarah Jessica Parker perfumes for me. I added 9 Sarah Jessica Parker perfumes to my collection this year. So, Lovely is a repurchase for me. I had a travel size and went through the whole thing, so I bought a big bottle. And it is a crisp floral that features narcissus as the hero note. That is a floral note that I absolutely adore in perfumes. It's very crisp with a hint of green to it, and I love floral perfumes that have a nice green quality to them. I think Lovely is one of the best celebrity perfumes out there and a super affordable gem, in my opinion. I wore the beautiful Musc Noir Rose 12 times this year, and I didn't add this to my collection until November. That's how much I absolutely loved wearing this. This is a plummy, musky tuberose that had a very well-deserved viral moment a few years ago. It has been a perfect everyday reach for me in the colder months. Then I wore Mon Guerlain EDT a total of 13 times. This is just the most beautiful lavender vanilla. It's very strong, very perfumey, and very popular for good reason. It's just a classically beautiful, timeless perfume. Then this gorgeous bottle is Linge Noir in the EDP concentration from Givenchy. Unfortunately, this is a discontinued perfume, but it is one of my best and most worthy blind buys in my entire perfume collecting history. It took me a minute to understand this perfume. It's a powdery and almost borderline soapy iris and tonka perfume with a fabulous sesame note. It's so interesting, so unique, and it has become one of my absolute favorite nighttime perfumes. With 15 wears this year, Narciso Poudrée, which is a powdery rose and jasmine woody musk. And that signature Narciso musk is so unique. It's very thick and doughy. And in combination with that powdery rose and jasmine, it is just fantastic. I've never smelled another musk quite like it. And finally, in the honorable mention category, a perfume that I wore 17 times this year, the very best gourmand perfume in my entire collection, the only one that I would keep if I had to get rid of all the rest, Dolce Aqua from Perfume Roma. It's almond, coconut, vanilla, and tonka. It's delicious and decadent, but also light and airy at the same time. And I only have this little 18 ml bottle of it, but I have worn this so much because you really only need one spray of this perfume to get the full effect of its beauty. It's super strong and it is absolutely gorgeous. So, on to the most worn perfumes this year. My absolute favorite new discovery of this year, Luminous from La Perla. I wore this 18 times. This is a perfume that I blind bought on the recommendation of the wonderful Wendy from Wendy's Parade of Perfumes, one of my absolute favorite people who talks about perfumes that she owns, loves, and wears. She is a gem among gems here. This perfume caught my eye in one of her videos, and I am so glad it did. This is just ambrette, jasmine, and cedar. It's a very simple scent profile, but it's done so beautifully. It's just all of these notes in perfect balance. None of them outweigh the others. And then I find there's just a little bit of citrusy sweetness to this scent. If I had to guess, I would say it's probably mandarin. And it is just a perfect everyday scent. I absolutely love, love, love this perfume. If you have been watching my channel this year, I think you know how much I love this one. Embrace French Lavender and Tuberose from Vera Wang, a gift from the wonderful cast from Skin Sense for Fusspots on our Sniffari day that we had in April. I drained the whole entire bottle she gave me in no time at all, and then I got a second bottle in a swap from my friend Allie. This is lavender, tuberose, cocoa, and vanilla. It is that super pretty, fresh and creamy scent profile that I love. It's very, very affordable and a perfume I am so happy to have been introduced to this year, so much so that I wore it a total of 25 times. You knew this one was coming, right? With 27 wears this year, this is my beloved Violet Ida from Miller Harris, my lipstick on a bunny perfume. It's a Rudy Carrot and Orris perfume with amber and like a double dose of vanilla. It's all waxy and buttery and doughy and powdery and fluffy and fuzzy and just wonderful, especially at bedtime. And speaking of bedtime, my second most worn perfume this year that I wore 29 times, it is the incredible Bois from L'Artisan Parfumeur. So Bois smells like finely milled bread flour with a spritz of grapefruit juice, as if a window was opened near a citrus orchard while you are baking a loaf of bread. It is such an excellent example of the light hand that the superior perfumer Jean-Claude Ellena uses to create something that smells almost as if it were a watercolor painting. And finally, my most worn perfume of the year, the flanker of the perfume I've loved for ages but haven't quite found my perfect version of until this year, Shalimar L'Essence from Guerlain, created for the 100th anniversary of Shalimar. And in 2025, I wore this perfume 34 times. So to me, this is all of the wonder of Shalimar. The smoky, balsamic, thick, ambery vanilla, minus the leatheriness of the original, and then amped up with an extra dose of rich and creamy bourbon vanilla. I just got this perfume in October, and it rapidly climbed to the top of my most worn list as I could not stop reaching for this perfume. I adore it. I am so happy, so happy to have found my Shalimar this year. So here are my most worn perfumes for 2025. Luminous, Embrace French Lavender and Tuberose, Violet Ida, Bois and Shalimar L'Essence. And I have to say that of all the years I have been enjoying and collecting perfume, this has been one of my favorite years. I have really loved the very special perfumes I added to my collection this year, and I especially loved sharing it with all of you. So thank you for watching. Thank you so much. Thank you for spending your time here with me, and thank you for chatting perfumes with me in the comments. I really appreciate you, and I wish you all the most excellent 2026. I am super excited to see what scented joys this year brings to all of us, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.